One of the questions that I hear a lot is, how do I stop feeling depressed? Which seems like a pretty reasonable question when you're in a very depressed state, because nobody really likes to be depressed. In this video, we're going to talk about exactly how you get out of that depressed state. So stay tuned. So a long time ago, when I was in that really terrible place that I was in, where I just really all I could think about all day, every day was just the fact that I wanted to kill myself. And I was walking around with a suicide hotline number in my wallet every day. And that was just kind of the foremost in my mind. I was a wreck. I was super depressed. And I remember at my worst point, there was one person, a good friend of mine, that told me, just get through your day. Just do whatever you have to do to get through the next hour, the next couple hours, then get through the next hour after that, then get through the day, then get through the following day, and just kind of survive. And that to me was the first step in the worst place that I was in. To really understand where this all goes, I like to think of your emotional states as being almost like a big freight train, because you start building momentum in the same way that a train would move. And once you get really chugging in one direction, it's really hard to just make it stop all of a sudden. In other words, it's very hard when you're in this super depressed state, after you've had all these things that have just been piling on for presumably a long time, that have put you in this place where you're super depressed, to just suddenly stop and go, oh, everything's wonderful. If you're in this suicidal mode, for example, you don't just have one little quick trick that suddenly makes you go, oh, never mind, I'm super happy and everything's great and depression's completely gone. So what you have to do is start to just implement tiny little things to slow that train down. And eventually, once you can get the train to just stop building momentum in the negative direction, you start moving it in the more positive direction. And then you eventually get the freight train moving in a very successful, happy way. And you have very similar effects on the opposite end of the spectrum. If you've ever seen somebody that's like really successful, really happy, seems to be really oriented, they don't phase by stupid little things that happen in their lives. If you go up to somebody, for example, who's in a super depressed state and you say, hey, you're fat and ugly, they're probably gonna have an absolute meltdown because they're already in this really terrible place. But if you say that to somebody that's like happy and successful and has just got everything going on right for them, and you're like, hey, you're stupid and ugly, they're gonna be like, whatever, and they're gonna run on with their day. So what you wanna do is just do little tiny things to reverse the position. Now, when you're in that terrible state, like I said, the first thing you do is just survive. But then you start to try to implement tiny little things. Just take one action step that you can do to start altering the trajectory. And that can be as simple as start giving yourself an affirmation, start journaling in positive things, spend some time where you're gonna listen to self-help audios, or you're gonna go talk to a therapist or counselor or something. And then once you start getting that as a habit, once you're doing that one little thing and that starts to become routine, add another little thing on. And then you start to add another thing on after that, and you just keep building. And so you just get these incremental gains, and then over time, you're gonna be in a much better position. You're gonna start to reverse that freight train, and you're gonna get to where not only are you not depressed anymore, but you're actually happy. And then you're gonna start going down the success road when you start getting that freight train chugging in the good direction. With all this said then, if you're in a really bad state, just survive, but pick one thing that you can add into your routine that's gonna make things better. Pick auto-suggestion, give yourself a statement, one of those things that we described, and just pick that thing and cling on to that for right now. And then once that starts to become routine and you're not even thinking about it anymore, add one more thing. And pretty soon, before you know it, you're gonna be feeling a lot better. If you have any thoughts or questions, please put something in the feed below. If you have not already done so, check out the additional resources I have on my website, which is www.embuffination.com. Also, if you have not done this, please subscribe and get notifications to the YouTube channel, which is Emotional Embuffination. Thanks.